This is stuff you like, and if you're gonna spoof something, you've got to have knowledge. But you've also got to have heart. Today's topic is the patron-requested Jesus Bro, or as some of you may know it, that movie with the Cinema Snob, and Obscurus Lupa, and Nash, and the Nostalgia Critic, and really just a whole bunch of people that you know from the internet. So, Cinema Snob fans, welcome. If you like the video, stick around and subscribe, and meet new and interesting people in the comments section. In the last video I did an introduction to the weird world of Pureflix, and I'd recommend you watch that if you're unfamiliar with the genre that Jesus Bro is spoofing. But if you're short on time, the important thing to keep in mind is this. Pureflix movies are often low quality, frequently inexplicable, occasionally creepy, and borrow the outer trappings and cultural reference points of American evangelical Christianity without actually seeming to understand it on anything other than a very superficial level. In the last episode we took the example of Old Fashioned, a supposed Christian alternative to going to see 50 Shades of Grey that was in itself completely illogical, undeniably creepy, and borrowing from a cultural phenomenon, namely I Kissed Dating Goodbye, that it didn't really seem to understand. And this is our inspiration. There are lots of movies made by people from the internet, and the quality is variable. And spoofs are always a risk because you want to be like Galaxy Quest, but you might just end up like Scary Movie number 394 or whatever they're on now. But I think this one turned out pretty well. So the plot of Jesus Bro goeth thusly. Rick Whitehead is an angry internet atheist with a huge following and a sassy black Christian friend who chuckles a lot. When Rick was 8, an angry Jesus impersonator broke his plastic toy and now he's an atheist. Just go with it. He has a girlfriend of
3 years, 11 months, and 2 days.
Called Elizabeth, who is a Christian, which she never told him, which seems like a pretty big omission, but just go with it. Anyway, he wins Atheist of the Year, doesn't propose to Elizabeth and instead acts like a twerp. She gets mad, they break up, he drinks 100% proof alcohol and has a near-death experience with Santa Christ, who tells him he needs to go and spread the good news to his atheist followers and then he'll get Elizabeth back. Hijinks ensue, including Rick meeting up with his estranged brother and reenacting War Room, and discovering that he has been gifted with a power. The power to make anyone who disagrees with him spontaneously combust. And you know, that's not even stupider than Let There Be Light's conversion by touch. Just go with it. He also meets the devil. At the end, it turns out Santa Christ and the devil had a bet, and various things happen, which means the rapture. Oops. But eventually God the Father turns up and winds back time and sorts it all out. And hey, lesson learned about not being a jerk. Marry me, Elizabeth. The end. If you are perplexed by the number of times I said, just go with it in this summary, then that's fair. But as I explained in my previous video about Pureflix, they borrow the trappings of American Christianity and then stick them haphazardly to plots that don't make a lot of sense most of the time. Because of this, Jesus Bro is a movie that, if you're not familiar with the work of the Cinema Snob or the work of Pureflix, or preferably both, is okay? A bit weird? I mean, you can probably tell it's a parody, but the jokes aren't going to be as funny because you don't have that familiarity with the context. But then again, that's how parodies work. The good ones are funny even if you only have a superficial understanding of the conventions of the genre, and the bad ones aren't funny even if you do have an in-depth understanding of the genre, unless, hey, that thing happened in another movie is sufficient humor for you. I mean, having some jokes like that is fine, but if most of your jokes are like that, or just straight up ripped off scenes from another movie, then it's probably just gonna be awkward. Jesus Bro contains a lot of the dumb cliches and weird production tricks that you would expect if you've ever watched a Pureflix movie. Covering our mouths while outdoors to make ADR easier, sassy black friend, heavy-handed exposition, put upon Christian girlfriend, randomly leaving out important life details, aka bad communication between the characters, obnoxious atheists, illogical plots or timelines, I'm dark but honest. Well, that one's more of an internet personality cliche, but I'll allow it. And of course, people who aren't Christians making ridiculous assumptions about Christianity. Although on that last one, you sometimes see comments under Brad's reviews like, how does this character in the movie not know anything about Christianity? But, well, I live in the UK, which is more secular than the US, but there are loads of people here who have no understanding of the nuts and bolts of Christianity beyond very basic stuff. So yeah, I know, characters making ridiculous assumptions about Christianity seems kind of stupid, but I see it quite a lot, so that's one of the cliches that feels less ridiculous to me. Anyway, I like Jesus Bro. It's funny and it's ridiculous and it is, as I said, the good kind of spoof which actually bothers to tell an interesting story while making fun of things, rather than the bad kind where they let the story take a backseat to making reference jokes. Because reference jokes are what the kids like these days, right? It takes as its starting point a guy with a very fixed set of opinions on the world and everything in it, and ends with a guy who isn't quite sure what's going on, but gosh darn it, he's gonna be a good person while he can. There is an honest-to-goodness character arc. And it's pretty well done too. This is helped by the fact that the acting is a lot better than a lot of Pureflix movies. That probably sounds like I'm damning it with faint praise, but I don't think most of the people involved are professional actors, so, you know, that's actually pretty good. And the movie can be funny and poignant at the same time, which is more difficult to do than it looks. My very favourite scene is Elizabeth and Rick in the restaurant when she breaks up with him. It feels very real, it has emotional resonance, and honestly, I wasn't really expecting that. I've never seen Alison act before, outside of her reviews where she sort of plays herself in the Channel Awesome Anniversaries, where, well, but she really sells it, and to extend a metaphor, I buy it. Ultimately though, the movie hangs on Rick, and David Gobble is really good. I often have a problem watching movies on my computer because I don't get into them the same way that I would if I were watching them on my TV, but I didn't have that problem here. I believed in the characters, as daft as that sounds in a movie where everyone acts completely inexplicably for the sake of comedy. But there we are, this is stuff you like, not stuff that can be 100% justified in a completely rational fashion. So if you have watched Jesus Bro, let me know what you thought about it in the comments, and if you're new here, say hi and be welcome. I will be back next month with another episode, so all that remains to say is thank you to Anders, who specifically requested this review, and to everyone who voted for it, and I'll see you all next time.